Everyone is loving this Duke men's basketball team this time of year. They're off to a terrific end to the season. One game left in the regular season against the North Carolina Tar Heels. What's it going to take to come out on top and claim a share of that ACC regular season title? Let's discuss here today.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson, and it's so great to have you here with us on this Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop for everything going on in the life of Duke athletics, able to bring you new coverage each and every day. Duke basketball with a big win on Monday against NC State. We're still reacting to that and getting ready for the final showdown of the regular season. One more time, the Tar Heels come to our place inside Cameron Indoor. Can Duke claim a share of the ACC regular season title? We discussed that with our pal Kevin Connelly, the site expert from Durham. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Really do love all the support that's out there for the show. And hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. Please, please, please share this with your friends. Talk about Duke. Comment on these videos down below. Want to get to 2,000 subscribers here in March Madness. Let's make that happen. I know we can. And again, really do appreciate all of your support. So without further ado, he's our good friend, Kevin Connelly from Durham, who joins us here on the podcast today. Kevin, thanks for the time as always. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, JJ. How's things with you?
Doing very well. It's a while. You and I have been doing the show together for several years now, each and every week, chatting with you, and the off season is long and hard, and we're just talking and forecasting and speculating what a season is going to look like. Then we get into season, and it flies by for the most part. There's only one game left in the regular season, man, and then it's tournament time. What the Duke program is built off of are these trophies and hardware, and all of a sudden we're here again, man.
Well, this is what everyone looks forward to in college basketball. Now, granted, certainly it's the best time of year. We're in March. We're ready to roll. I never want to wish the season away and always be looking forward to March, but this is the best time of year. And if you're not fired up for the basketball right now, then I don't know what's going to get you fired up for college basketball.
Yeah, you got to be excited for what we're seeing right now with the entire sport. And obviously, a big tournament week coming up next week. Right now, we're seeing some smaller leagues have their conference tournaments. Women's basketball, of course, has their college basketball conference tournaments right now. Then they've got a whole week off until Selection Sunday before that tournament gets going. So it just truly is the best time of year, man. And we're seeing a Duke basketball team that's playing their best basketball as well.
And for the second year in a row, that this team's firing on all cylinders over the last couple of weeks of the regular season. And again, I think we said it before, you have to tip your hat to Jon Scheyer. He knows he knows all the buttons to push. He knows the strings to pull. 2 years as a head coach, second straight year that this team is peaking at the right time. And hopefully they can continue going forward with one more game in the regular season and eventually ACC tournament and NCAA tournament.
I saw this posted by Jeff Borzello a little bit earlier this week after Monday night's game. Since Duke's loss to Carolina on February 3rd, nearly a month ago, the Blue Devils are ranked number 3 at BartTorvik.com, narrowly behind UConn and Houston. Top 15 at both ends of the floor over the span. Duke is number 1 nationally in 2-point field goal percentage and number 5 in offensive rebounding rate. Man, Duke's playing some really good ball right now.
Yeah, they really are. And I saw that tweet as well. And even if you go by the eye test, it just feels like they are playing like one of the best teams in the country since that loss to North Carolina. And Jon Scheyer, I guess he, in his own way, tried to rattle their cage, saying that the level of competition or how they competed in that game against North Carolina wasn't very good. Their effort wasn't very good. And that Those are big words coming from a Duke head coach in a game against North Carolina, especially on the road. And it seems like this team took it at heart. And the only loss that this team has faced or that has suffered since that game is the loss to Wake Forest, who ironically hasn't won a game since the whole court storming incident and drama around that. So, yeah, again, it feels like you have to put up or shut up at this time of year. And Duke is certainly putting their money where their mouth is right now.
As they should, and we're glad that they are. The Duke team has had injuries that they've had to battle through this whole season, Caleb Foster being the most recent one, and again, kind of remains unknown when he'll be back for the Duke basketball team. Appears as though it's not going to be on Saturday against North Carolina, and so it's, again, kind of a smaller backcourt, but we're seeing Sean Stewart come into his own, TJ Power come into his own with more playing opportunity and that sort of thing. And while they aren't guards, Duke's been able to just kind of tweak what they're doing in some ways, but they still could focus on the three guards that they do have in Roach, Proctor, and McCain.
Well, it's very interesting that you say that, right? Because, yes, Sean Stewart is not a guard. He's a forward. So typically you wouldn't think that an injury to Caleb Foster as a point guard would impact the playing time of Sean Stewart, but it has. I mean, since Foster's gone down, Stewart's gotten more minutes because Jon Scheyer has tweaked things with the rotation. And he's not the sole reason why Duke won against North Carolina State on Monday night, but he's certainly one of the big reasons why. He scored more than Kyle Filipowski and Mark Mitchell. He played more minutes than Kyle Filipowski and Mark Mitchell. And he did a great job just trying to slow down DJ Burns and try to make the game into a track meet. And obviously, with the size of DJ Burns, he can't handle that. He can't handle getting up and down the floor. And you saw him motioning over to the bench, raising his hand, saying that he needed a rest. He needed a couple minutes to try and catch his breath. And in the second half, I think Duke just wore down NC State and was eventually able to pull away and come away with the win.
Big time win for the Blue Devils against NC State. I want to look at some of those individual numbers, highlight them again as well. Big time performance for the Blue Devils, and look ahead to North Carolina and all that happens after we take our first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets for your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and so much more, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Talking about Game Time, it's the only ticketing app that gives you the complete peace of mind every time you purchase. All-in prices show your total upfront, so you're never caught off guard, and you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. You can buy tickets with just 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Moving forward here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, JJ Jackson alongside my pal Kevin Connelly, the site expert for Ball Durham, talking about this Duke basketball win over NC State a little bit earlier this week. Boy, a team effort that Duke had on the glass. The offensive rebounds, we've talked about it, but they really told the story for Duke in this game in particular. And then, as Jeff Borzello pointed out, over the last month, Duke has been a top 5 offensive rebounding team in the entire country. They're shooting the ball as one of the best teams in the country from three-point range. But when they're missing, they're just getting the offensive rebound and able to get another look at it.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at the rebounding numbers. Duke out-rebounded NC State 36-31 on Monday night, but Duke had as many offensive rebounds as NC State had as many defensive rebounds. And that's certainly really impressive, especially in a road game. And I think the talk around this team a lot during the offseason was how are they going to be able to replicate what they did on the backboards last year, playing 2 7-footers and Derek Lively and Kyle Filipowski. And
right,
we've touched on it. It's been the guards chipping in down low and helping out rebounding-wise that has really played a big effort. You see, for your YouTube viewers looking on the screen right there, Jared McCain, 5 rebounds. Roach and Proctor each having 4 rebounds. And this is all with Kyle Filipowski only having 2 rebounds in the game.
Yeah.
That Duke was still able to do all this. So I think it just makes it that much more impressive. And obviously we talked about Sean Stewart's great play. And I think Ryan Young's play, especially him rebounding the basketball, doesn't get enough praise. He's not going to fill it up and score 10 to 15 points a game, but it just feels like he's so fundamentally solid when trying to rebound and boxing other guys out. And it's really something that doesn't show up on the box score a lot for Duke, but it makes a major impact in these games.
Yeah, a couple of things really jump out with this box score in particular with Duke's performance. Again, they win 79-64, a 3-point lead at halftime for Duke. They trailed 9-0 to start the game. We've seen slow starts this season, but it did not deter Duke from what they were able to get done. Number one, only 5 turnovers. Great job by Duke being able to take care of the basketball despite finding themselves in a hole. I thought that was key. NC State turned it over just 10 times, so double Duke, but yet not as many turnovers that Duke has forced in other games this season. However, Duke turned those 10 turnovers into 21 points. NC State had 9, so that's plus 12 right there in your points off turnovers for the Duke basketball team. And then the 3-point line. Again, Duke is 38% shooting from 3 as a team. That's number 1 in the entire ACC. They made 9 in this game. NC State made just 3. That's a difference in 18 total points out there on the floor. All of these kind of come together and get us to that final margin.
And they did that 3-point shooting with Jeremy Roach, who has been one of their best 3-point shooters, not having his best game, going just 1 of 7 from distance. But I don't think we talk a lot about this Duke team being lethal in transition as we have in the past couple of years, specifically like last year's team 2 years ago and so on. That conversation doesn't really come up a lot.
Yeah, we haven't done that, yeah.
But this team is very good in transition, and you see kind of the new age of basketball with even running in transition and having a fast break. Jared McCain pulling up from 3 in those situations a lot. And obviously his big 4-point play, it wasn't in transition. He did have the 1 transition 3 in the second half. But when you have somebody like that the defense has to worry about, and if you're running 3-on-2 and McCain just stops on the perimeter, then a defender is going to have to come out and guard him, and then it's a 2-on-1 down low. So yeah, this team doesn't really get a lot of credit for how good they are in transition. It showed here against NC State, like you said, with those 21 points off of just 10 NC State turnovers. And you want to see that continue going forward, especially against a team like North Carolina, who all they like to do is run in transition on Saturday night.
Without a doubt, really excited to see this Duke team get out in transition against the Tar Heels a little bit more and get those points off of turnovers, right? Because that was a key stat in the first matchup in Chapel Hill, that the Tar Heels got a turnover and they went and scored on the other end. And that was kind of the big difference in that box score in particular and told the story in that first matchup. So hopefully we can kind of reverse that trend on the Tar Heels coming up on Saturday in Cameron.
Yeah, they like to get the ball and run, whether it's off a made basket, a missed basket, a turnover. They like to get the ball, throw it up to half court, and let Elliot Cadeau and RJ Davis try and do their thing and put the other team on its heels. But I think there's going to be some things for Duke to learn. Now, North Carolina is still a really good team. They just haven't looked as great via the eye test, in my opinion, since they beat Duke. Now, they've still won games. They were down at halftime last Saturday that North Carolina stayed at home. They didn't play their best game outside of RJ Davis at home against Miami. Obviously, they lost immediately after beating Duke to Clemson at home. So this North Carolina team, obviously they'll be geared up to come into Cameron Indoor, try to get a sweep of Duke, try to win the outright ACC regular season title, try and leave no doubt and get the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament. Although should Duke win, things are left up to tiebreakers to see who gets that number 1 seed. So still a lot at stake for both these teams. And you also have to imagine the winner of this game probably has an inside track at getting a number 2 seed for the NCAA tournament, and the loser might be put on the 3 line.
Without a doubt, really excited to see what this Duke team is able to do going forward, not only in that North Carolina game, but also taking a look at the ACC tournament coming up and then March Madness. So one more thing to kind of point out here, looking at these individual numbers, big day for Jeremy Roach with those 21 points. Jared McCain had 16 14 of them coming in the second half. But the career day for Sean Stewart, 12 points, 5 rebounds on 5 of 7 from the floor. Did have 4 fouls, but played a season-high 26 minutes. And then I'm looking at the production that Duke got from Mitchell and Filipowski combined. Just 14 combined points from those guys. Filipowski was in foul trouble in the first half, but only 19 minutes out there for Mark Mitchell against NC State. 0 fouls committed by Mitchell, so it's not, and he didn't turn the basketball over, right? It's not some of the numbers that we've seen this season from Mark Mitchell, and Sean Stewart is out there longer than he was, and Duke is still able to go out and get a win. Earlier in the season, that just does not happen because the team didn't trust Sean Stewart enough to be able to do something like that. A very, very big positive that Mark Mitchell was fine. There's nothing really you can point to other than being a little bit inefficient shooting and scoring the basketball, and Duke got the job done.
Yeah, but you ride the hot hand, especially the way Sean Stewart was playing. You just ride him and let him go until he burns out, and he didn't burn out. That was actually one of the major focal points in my story from the game on Ball Durham, was that Sean Stewart basically outperformed Kyle Filipowski and Mark Mitchell combined. And if I told you that Sean Stewart was going to have 12 points and Kyle Filipowski and Mark Mitchell were going to have 14 combined points, what would your answer be if I said, does Duke win?
There's no way. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially going against a player like DJ Burns, who was really good down low for NC State. So I'm going to have another story coming up before the North Carolina game on Sean Stewart. And I don't know if this comparison has been made on social media, but I'm going to try to draw some parallels to it. And we unfortunately didn't see the conclusion of this story, but I don't know. I think Sean Stewart might be maybe this year's version of Justin Robinson, where Justin Robinson came on late in the season, had that epic game at home in the regular season finale against North Carolina, and then his story got cut short because COVID wiped out the season. Maybe Sean Stewart is going to take that Justin Robinson-like role. And remember, Justin Robinson is now on the coaching staff for John Shire as one of their player development coaches. So it really brings the whole story all together. And hopefully this one has a little bit better ending, not just for Duke, but the rest of the world as well.
No kidding. Yeah, we want that to be first and foremost there. No, I like it, though, because Justin I'd forgotten all about that team and kind of how good he was playing at the end of the season, what he was able to do for the Duke basketball team down the stretch, and then robbed of the chance to go and play in the postseason. Let us know in the YouTube comments down below what you think of that comparison. Grayson Allen, I know, had the big tournament run for the Duke basketball, big baseline dunk in that Michigan State game, and we all know what he was able to do in the NCAA national championship game against Wisconsin as well. So we love the unsung heroes stepping up and kind of elevating what Duke's able to do as a team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Sean Stewart can do that. And certainly since this injury to Caleb Foster, it feels like he's stepping into that role kind of as that underrated, unsung type of player.
We do it to ourselves, Duke basketball fans. Too many times we forget that these guys are playing at Duke for a reason. This isn't any other college basketball team or program out there. It's Duke. We know these guys can perform, and really excited to see how this season continues to play out. All right, we got to take one more break here on the program today, and then when we come back, the Tar Heels are ahead for the Duke Blue Devils. eBay Motors, a proud presenting sponsor once again of Locked On Blue Devils. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusion of supply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Final few moments here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside my pal Kevin Connelly, the site expert for Ball Durham. Duke and North Carolina coming up on Saturday from inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Before we even get to the game itself, it's senior day for Duke basketball. One final chance to play in Cameron for a couple of guys there. Ryan Young has run out of eligibility. Spencer Hubbard, the walk-on, who was a fun story over the past month or so with the big three-point shot that he made. He's on scholarship this year, well-earned after spending those 4 years with the program. And then it's senior day for Jeremy Roach. 1 year left of eligibility with that COVID-19 year. Not sure what he's going to decide to do with that one there. But those three guys, it's always a fun time of year, Kevin. We don't always get this as of late with Duke having so many kind of one-and-done guys lately, but a couple of different players will get to be recognized.
Yeah, and I think the big question is Jeremy Roach, and is he going to come back and use that extra year of eligibility? Certainly now, 2-year captain for this Duke team. They would love to have him back, don't get me wrong. But you do have Caleb Foster, you would imagine, sticking around next year to be that primary point guard. And who really knows in this age of college basketball? Also, you have to look in that it's going to be the last game in Cameron for a couple of other players, probably Kyle Filipowski as well. You look at Tyrese Proctor. Is it going to be his last game in Cameron? Who knows what the draft status will be of Jared McCain, especially after how well he's played recently. So obviously a lot of question marks going forward for this Duke team and who's going to play their final game in Cameron on Saturday. But it seems like, at least for Spencer Hubbard and Ryan Young, they are 100% going to play their last game in Cameron on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, with both of these, or with all these guys, it's a day I'm sure that they've been thinking about for quite some time. And now you get that it's every other year. There's a group of guys that get to play senior day against North Carolina of all teams. Really big time game coming up for Duke against a team that beat them earlier this year. North Carolina in action last night. They had senior day again for Armando Bacot, who's now out of eligibility. RJ Davis.
Are we sure about that? Are we sure? Is he done? Is he officially done?
RJ Davis and Jeremy Roach's recruiting class, and in the same boat as Jeremy Roach, having to decide whether or not he goes the professional route or runs it back another year. But anyway, now Duke gets the chance for them to play North Carolina again, and I think we're going to see a really good basketball game between these two teams.
I think we are as well, and I think
go ahead, Kevin. You're good.
Oh, I think revenge plays a big factor on the mind of this team. You talk about, like, this year, the team was talking about going down to Miami and righting their wrong after they got blown out last season. They go back down to Raleigh on Monday and right their wrong, getting blown out in Raleigh last weekend. And one thing I didn't mention that I want to about that game on Monday is game started very similar than the one did last year. I think last year it was a 20-2 run for NC State to start. This year was 9-0 over the first 4 minutes or so, and John Shire calls timeout, and you saw the growth and maturity of this team to settle down and still play basketball. So obviously this team is not going to want to be swept against North Carolina. It's the biggest game in Cameron of the season for the players and the students. I'm sure Cameron will be on fire. I would imagine, I don't have the rest of the ACC schedule in front of me for Saturday, but you would know who's probably going to be the number one seed in the ACC tournament before tip-off, I think, given how tiebreakers could roll if Duke wins and these two teams split, because I think Virginia's probably going to likely finish in third, but both teams beat Virginia, so then it goes to Wake Forest if they finish in fourth, but I'm not sure of that because they just lost at home to Georgia Tech. So I don't know if
straight losses for Yeah, I
don't know if they're going to finish fourth anymore. So you're going down the order in terms of who beat who that finished first and in the regular season. So certainly going to be interesting. It really, I don't think it matters that much who's the 1 seed, who's the 2 seed. They're both going to be 1 and 2. And given how the ACC has underperformed this year, it seems like we might have a round 3 next Saturday night in Washington, D.C. for the ACC championship as well.
Bring it on. We'll be excited for it and excited to see all of that play out. Kevin, you're always great. Always appreciate your insight and time. Give us a plug for Ball Durham and what you're working on.
So we have everything you could possibly want Duke basketball. We're still on top of recruiting as well. It's over on Twitter at @ball_Durham. And then you could read us every single day at balldurham.com. Now that we're in the beginning of March, we're pumping out even more content than we have throughout the regular season to get all these Duke fans ready for March Madness and Duke's ACC and NCAA tournament runs. So come read us over at balldurham.com. Promise you won't be disappointed.
We'll do just that. Talk to you next week, Kevin. See you, man.
Thanks, JJ.
All right, that's Kevin Connelly joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Always do appreciate his time. Go give him a follow at Kevin Connelly24 on X, at @ball_Durham. I'm there as well, at _JJ_Jackson_, and the show is at LO_Blue Devils. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.